And we are back. What is going on, beautiful people? Episode four, Subs and Dubs podcast. UFC Vegas 81 is on tap. Should be an exciting card. I'm super excited for this card. Not the biggest name value card, but I think a lot of spots, a lot of value spots, a lot of spots to bet on. And I wanted another absolute legend of the game. We had Weezy on last week. I hit my man up. I hit my man Liam up. And he was gracious enough with his time to come and be my co-host. So, want to introduce Liam a little bit. Obviously you can find him on the Liam Picks Fight YouTube channel. Liam Picks Fight over on Twitter. Host of Best and Banter. Host of Liam's First Look on YouTube. One of the most hardworking individuals in the MMA space that I've run into. I'm still trying to hone in my MMA capping game and trying to learn as much as I can. And he's been a big part of that, whether he knows it or not. So, been a fan before anything. So absolutely honored to have him on the show. This man is doing his 16th show this week, talking about the same card. So, like I said, gracious enough to lend us his time and help break down his card. Liam, how you doing, bro? How's everything? I'm sure the people love to have you here. How you been doing?
I'm doing all right, my man. Life is good. Got some rest. I thought I was going to be up all night, but my body had other plans. So even got to sleep a little bit last night, but feeling good, man. Got my work done, wrote a whole, preview for this card. So I feel like now I got, that writing process clarifying the mind considerably. So whether I'm right or wrong, I feel like I now know what I'm going to feel going into these fights. And I'm just going to hope that I got the reads right this week, always do the same work and the same due diligence and hope for the best. So let's rumble, man. I'm excited.
Yes, sir. Let's do it. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of quickly to recap of last week. We won the show last week for last Saturday's card. And it was an amazing card for us. Up 7.2 units. Obviously some help on the back end. I put up some of our biggest slips that we had last week. Energy was amazing for the show. So I appreciate you guys being here. Like I said, up 7.2 units. Obviously co-main and main event is where we kind of sunk our teeth and made most of our money. It was amazing to see so many people cash on these props with me. Nothing like it, right? When most of the guys on Twitter cash on the same things and it's huge money cashes. I love seeing that stuff. So I was one of those people that cash on Joe Piper sub and round two. So great cash is there. And then main event, I was on Bobby Green and what a fight that was for as long as it lasts. So I was super passionate going into that fight. I know a lot of people on the other side and with great reason. I talked to a lot of people that I respect that made some really really good points on the Grant Dawson side. This price I actually got kind of the worst of the price. This was creeping towards plus 400 before fight time. But yeah, Bobby gets it done. Absolute savage, absolute legend in my book now. Absolute savage. So gets it done inside 30 seconds for us. As sweat free as it gets. So yeah, up 7.2 units, but that's the past, right? It's all about this week trying to do the same thing, trying to replicate at least somewhat, and have another great card. So Liam, how have you been doing? I think you dabble in some contender series and obviously all the Saturday cards. So how have you been doing recently?
Yeah, on Contender Series the other night, I think that I ended up going 3 for 6 on picks. So it wasn't the way that I was hoping to end out in terms of the picks, but I did end up picking several underdogs. I basically picked 5 out of 6 underdogs on the card as my initial leans. I don't look at the lines before I make my picks. So I had just been, bullish on a lot of the underdog sides before I looked at the numbers, but it ended up getting me to that Ramon Tavares side for the main event, which was
Mm.
beautiful. There's nothing better. I think that's actually the fastest I've ever cashed a bet. I've been in this betting game for a long time. Bobby Green, another one, right? Is there anything better than when you don't have to sweat, when you don't have to wait for it? You're just like, wow, I have the money now. That was very easy. So that was what happened there. And on last Saturday night, it was probably my best UFC card of the year. Joe Piper by sub, to your point, but also my only money line side was Vanessa Demopoulos. And I got a lot of grief for that one, but I just feel like even in retrospect, like the way that the fight played out, one girl at the end looked like she had been in a fight, and the other girl looked like she had been in an, like a gym working out and doing some cardio. So it just seemed to me like Vanessa managed the fight a little bit better. And at a plus 300 price tag, what more could I ask for?
Yeah, and shout out to you. Huge plus money cash, and you're 100% right. Right. Maratha did not cover her price tag. Period. Right. So if you had a Vanessa Demopoulos ticket in your pocket, you did your job. Whether it's a controversial decision or not, I was on a Maratha side, obviously. I had a parlayed up like the square that I am, and was very upset. Was very upset. But when the emotions kind of subside, you realize that that's not the spot you want to be in, right? Laying minus 300, minus 350 on a fight. In hindsight, that was that close. So yeah, weird card too. You got Montana De La Rosa opening the card for getting how to wrestle. So that was very irritating as well. But I mean, without further ado, I'm ready to get into it, Liam. So if you don't mind, let's jump right into it. We're gonna through this card, rip through these fights, and let's start at the bottom. So first fight of the night, UFC Vegas 81. Ashley Yoda versus Emily Ducati. So best price you can get right now on Emily is minus 375 on DraftKings. Come back on the Yoda side. Best price is plus 330 on FanDuel. So Liam, I don't have strong feelings about this fight. I know a lot of people are on Ducati, parlaying her up. I just couldn't bring myself to do that. Like I said, she kind of pushed minus 350, was flirting with minus 400, and I think she does have some advantages in this fight. I think she will win this fight, but me personally, I just couldn't bring myself to bet it at this price. So I think the kicks are going to be huge for Ducati. Ducati, Yoda just does not check leg kicks, so I think that's going to be a big factor. Obviously, she'll have the edge, standing. She does better when she's pushing forward, and I think Ashley Yoda will give her the opportunities to do so. Both girls have tough as shit. They've proven that in their fights. Yoda's taken a lot of damage, but has been able to kind of pull through more times than not. So yeah, I favor Dakota to win this fight, but no official action. So do you feel strongly about this fight? Do you have any action?
So haven't bet this one yet. Was waiting to see what the Ducati ITD line would peak at, because I did see it actually had improved a little bit over the course of the week. I think that when you look at Ashley Yoder, she's never been finished, right? And you look at the Emily Ducati side, she's been underperforming, in my opinion, in the UFC to this point. I think she's a really talented girl. Coming in, I was like, she got a lot of experience outside the UFC. I thought she was going to be ready to go when she got here, but they haven't done her many favors either, right? Lupita Godinez, very talented girl, very tough, durable, strong, well built. And the other girls she's fought have pretty good experience. So it just has been difficult for her to kind of, showcase her skill set, really get off on her game. I feel like her and Angela Hill, have a little bit of that sparring type match. And I'm just looking at this as Ashley Yoder, not very active, right? I always put up a post about the longest layoff on the card. It's Ashley Yoder by a considerable margin here on this fight card. And when you look at why, she's been doing other things. She's had injuries as well. And she's one of the older women in the division. So I just look at this as Emily Ducote probably getting a favorable matchup, a get right spot, if you will. And Ashley Yoder, she just hasn't proven it. 1-7 as an underdog so far in the UFC, and she's been very inactive. So unless she's done some kind of remarkable growth at 35 years of age outside the octagon, I just have to imagine Emily Ducote is the higher skill fighter, more past the victory, and a much higher finishing equity. So I think she even opened as high as minus 600 offshore.
Yep.
So yeah, it makes sense. People are going to bet Ashley Yoder because she's a little bit bigger and because she's the big plus money underdog in a women's MMA fight. But I think Ducote's probably going to steamroller.
Yeah, I agree, and that's something that kind of pushed me off too. I think Ducote can struggle with that size, right? We might see that, whether that's her not having a, as successful of a round one as some of us expect. Yeah, I just, like you said, I just don't trust either girl, whether it's layoffs, injuries, being unproven in the UFC. Ducote's had some tough matchups, obviously. Some vets coming in there and kind of teeing off on her and, kind of learning those vet lessons. But yeah, should be a spot where Ducote can kind of get back on track, pick up a win. Yeah, so yeah, great breakdown there. So yeah, let's move on. Next fight of the night is one that I have action in. Chris Gutierrez and Alatang Lee. So this should be a pretty good fight. Best line I'm seeing on Gutierrez currently is minus 265 on DraftKings. Best comeback you get on Alatang Lee is plus 240 on FanDuel. So Liam, why don't you kick this one off? Should be a great fight. How you feeling about this one?
Yeah, I think Alatang Haley actually opened up the favorite in this one as well on the offshore market. Quickly flipped to a Chris Gutierrez favorite, now a substantial favorite as well, heading into fight time. And I just think of Chris Gutierrez as a guy that definitely has a path to victory here, a pretty obvious one, which is that we've seen Alatong Haley get butchered with kicks before. It happened against Casey Kenny. Really harrowing visuals, right? He was just getting butchered with body kicks in that fight, wore a lot of damage there, but trains at a good camp. He was preparing to fight Hani Yaya, so you'd think that maybe he was working on his striking, trying to get that a little bit more on point. He's a wrestler and a grappler by trade. I don't think that he's got much of a chance to finish Chris Gutierrez, who's historically very durable, but I think Alatong Haley is probably the money line side. I think the decision at plus 550 is a touch wide. But I think that if you got Gutierrez at the early numbers, I mean, obviously, look at where your closing line value is. It's been reflected by the market that he should have been favored here, but should he be a 3-1 favorite in a UFC fight against a guy who's a similar age and probably has the wrestling upside? I'm not sure that he should. I think he's got more volume on the feet, but he's also a guy that has been, I think, chin checked a little bit by Munoz in that first round. I thought that kept him honest throughout the rest of the fight. And I bet Munoz there is an underdog. So now he's back to being a favorite here, obviously against a lower quality of competition, but he's back to being a much more significant favorite. So I just don't know that he's going to justify the price. For me, it's a dogger pass.
Yeah, 100%. That's a great breakdown. My man Richie's in the chat. What's up, Jens? Richie here. Not bad in the parlay. Ducati, yeah, talking about Ducati and Gutierrez. Yeah, I like that. Shout out my man Richie, part of the crew there, our GoldBoys. So shout out to you, bro. Appreciate you. Yeah. I'm on the Chris Gutierrez side, but there's an asterisk by it. FanDuel dropped a 100% profit boost that everybody had access to. So hopefully some members in GoldBoys kind of use that on this fight, because that's what I put out. So I got Gutierrez all the way down at minus 148, which is where I wanted to back him, right? Not at the current price, like you were saying, Liam. I don't think I can't justify minus 275, minus 300, like you were saying. Quickly on the Gutierrez side, I love watching him fight. I love watching Gutierrez fight. Really crisp striking. Sorry, my dogs are going absolutely crazy. Crisp striking, combines his hands and his kicks well, which I really, really like. Super fast, super accurate when he is striking, which I love. Great movement, very defensively aware, which is what I look for. I don't like guys that, are good on offense, but, lack that striking defense. So super defensively aware. Only been finished once, and that was via sub. Never been knocked out in his career. Some of the nastiest finishes in recent memory. Obviously, retired Frankie Edgar with that flying knee, and just the way he kind of set him up, kind of pulled him in was amazing. And then the spinning back fist KO versus Dana, which was insane.
I was there live for that one, actually.
Were you? Yeah, fucking crowd must have went insane. Just out of fucking nowhere. I think it was like round 2, pretty close fight, right? Dana was having some success, and then just absolutely fucking starches him with the spinning back fist. So, I think there'll be times to fade Gutierrez. We've seen a certain type of fighter archetype. I don't know how to speak, bro. Archetype give him problems. And I think that was more, we saw in the Pedro Munoz fight, right? A guy that's gonna relentlessly pressure forward, high striking volume, a guy with good cardio. I think those are the type of guys that are gonna give Gutierrez problems. I think there's similarities to both of these fighters. Both fighters are at great camps. Both fighters are super tough. What this comes down to for me is just in my mind, kind of untrustworthiness of Alatong Haley. And a majority of that, I think, is willingness to wrestle. I'm hearing a lot of people talk about that as being a path for him. We've seen Gutierrez kind of struggle with his takedown defense, but I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Liam, the tape that I've watched, I don't really see that. I don't see him, coming out. A lot of people pointing to him being that fight ready. He's been there 2 or 3 fights, and we still kind of haven't seen that game plan. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to take this guy down. I'm going to beat him up. The guy wants to bang, and I think that kind of lends into what Gutierrez wants to do. You mentioned the Casey Kenny fight. I think it can look similar to that. I think Casey Kenny kind of has a little bit more power in the hands and the feet, but Gutierrez, I think, is much crisper, much faster than Casey Kenny is. Alatong Haley does not check leg kicks. I think the body's going to be wide open based on the stances they like to fight in. And at this price, minus 150, minus 148, where I got it at, I like backing Gutierrez, but I'm not a big fan of parlaying him at the price. I'm not a big fan of taking him straight at the minus 275 price. So, I mean, do what you want with that info. I hate to give you guys a stale line, but, just kind of being transparent as to what I did personally. But, both of these guys tough as fuck. So, I expect a 15-minute mostly kickboxing fight. And I like Gutierrez to kind of, not maybe not dance around him, but definitely pick him apart and win minutes, win rounds with the striking. So yeah, smaller cage slightly worries me, being in Vegas, but Gutierrez is a dog, absolute savage. So we've seen him hurt, but I trust his chin. And yeah, I think he gets it done. So about a unit and a half play for me, Chris Gutierrez money line. I like it. I like it. So um, but completely agree with you, Liam. At this price, Doga pass for sure. Doga pass. So yeah, let's move on. Next fight of the night is an interesting one in my mind. I think a lot of people gonna gloss over this fight, but I got some action in this fight. I think it's super interesting. Irina Alekseeva is going against Melissa Dixon. So the best price you can get right now on Melissa Dixon is -130 on DraftKings. The best comeback you can get for Irina is +122 on FanDuel. So I'll kick this one off. Let me go to my action. So um, my biggest action on this fight is going to be fight not to go to distance. I like violence in this spot. I got it at -106. I think it's still around there, maybe -110. I like it up to like -115. I also played Alexieva round one win at +850, and then I played Dixon round two and Dixon round three at +850 and +1200 respectively. So I think both women have finishing upside. Obviously, Irina comes out and like a wild man, wild woman, just an absolute savage. Comes out those first couple of minutes, winging shots, power in her hands. We've seen her get finishes on the ground too. Obviously, most notably her last fight, the knee bar versus Edgar. And on the Dixon side, I mean, watching her tape, I don't love what I see, but I think she's still dangerous. I think she's a dog. I think she's pretty tough. But we've seen her in very, very compromised positions on the feet and on the mat versus very, very low level competition. So, Melissa, when we see Melissa Dixon get on top, her ground and pound has been vicious, very heavy ground and pound. She goes to it a lot. Doesn't seem like one of those women that are going to kind of lay on top and position over damage. She seems like she wants to punch your fucking face in when she's on top. So, the same thing for Irina. When we've seen her on top, she's been dangerous on top. I think the more likely path is Irina finishes her early, just because I really don't rate Dixon striking that highly, and this is her debut. Fighter with what six pro fights, I think is way more likely to kind of run into that UFC debut wall that we see from a lot of fighters. So, not saying it's gonna happen. She can come out and really look good and still get finished. But I like violence in this spot. So, Alexieva's cardio is obviously the reason why I'm playing Dixon round two, round three. I think she has 7-8 minutes of hell to give Melissa Dixon. After that, I think the mistakes are going to add up. We all know what happens when fighters get exhausted. Way more liable to make mistakes. The defense kind of goes by the wayside, and I think Melissa Dixon can take advantage of that. So, fight not to go to distance is a full unit play for me, and just a couple of sprinkles on both sides. Alexieva round one and Dixon round two and round three. Really like that spot. Really like balance in the spot. One of my favorite bets of the card. Billy's in the chat. Let's fucking go. Use my 2K bonus bet on Christian Rodriguez. I hope I didn't miss that analysis. Came here. No, we did not talk about C-Rod yet. So I do like C-Rod though. So we'll get to that fight. I appreciate you being here, bro. Richie in the chat. He hasn't talked Rodriguez. Oh yeah, Cameron Simon side. Yeah, I saw my man Richie's on the Simon side. So should be an interesting conversation. Liam, what do you think about this fight? Russian Ronda, Melissa Dixon making her debut. I can't wait for this fight personally. I don't think I've ever heard that this week, but I can't wait for this fight. It should be interesting. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, man, I'll be pretty brief here. I lean towards the fight not to go the distance as well. When I look at both of these women, I just think to myself, Irina Alekseeva, I believe she's a combat sambo world champion, as well as a Russian champion. So she had credentials coming in to the UFC. And I mentioned that before the Stephanie Egger fight. I thought that her main path to victory was the sub, which was plus 1100 in that spot. And now she's going against Dixon, who is also, a pretty practiced girl on the ground. She could be taken down. We've seen that before, but she normally does a pretty decent job working her way back to her feet. I think she'd actually be in some danger in the early going, to your point, when she's on top in this fight. I just think that Alekseeva, very tricky and awkward. Sometimes differences in styles can create opportunities. Stephanie Egger has grappled with a lot of really competent people, but I think that the Sambo style, maybe threw her off a little bit, and I just think that we've seen that on a number of occasions. Good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu players getting submitted by Sambo practitioners in MMA. It happens on a number of occasions. So I think that both of these women have a path to a finish. So I won't belabor the point. I just think that Dixon, her path would probably be a little more likely to come via KO, which is being priced out in the market as well. So I wouldn't get too cute with this one. I think it probably ends violently one way or the other. I don't trust either women's defense. I think that Alexieva, good offense, not great defense, a little bit reckless. I think that Dixon, we've seen her get beat up. We've seen her get taken down before in a regional tape. She's coming in and making a UFC debut here. So does she look great? Maybe. But the one thing is, we've seen jitters come in. Somebody comes out, has that round one adrenaline dump. I think that could happen on either side here. So for me, I do like your look on violence, brother. Best of luck.
Yeah, my camera's fucking up again. I hate this shit, but yeah, I'm glad we're aligned on that. Like I said, one of my favorite spots on the card. So I love to hear that you're aligned with me. And yeah, I mean, Alex Siva is probably one of the most untrustworthy fighters. I mean, when you stand up there and miss weight, I forgot how much he was missed by, like 3 or 4 pounds, I think. And she stands up there and like roars and flexes. I fucking hate that shit. Oh my god, it made me fucking cringe. It was crazy. Amar's in the chat here for the C Rod analysis. Yeah, that's gonna be an exciting fight. One of the best scheduled fights tonight. So yeah, we'll definitely get to that. Fame D, I don't even know how to pronounce that, but Fame is in the Twitch chat. Where to watch all of these? Anyone know? My man James put a link there for you. But yeah, ESPN Plus, whole card will be on ESPN Plus. Nice and easy, all one place for you. But yeah, Liam, without any further ado, let's hop right into the next one. We got a Terrence McKinney fight, so we know we're gonna get some fireworks, gonna get some electricity in the building. Terrence McKinney fighting Brandon Marat, I think is how you pronounce it, or Marati, whatever you're comfortable with. So best prices on Terrence McKinney I'm seeing is minus 520 on DraftKings. Best comeback on Brandon Marat is plus 425 on BetMGM. Liam, why don't you kick this one off? Obviously, like I said, electricity. Terrence McKinney's fighting. Can't wait to see how the first 2-3 minutes go in this fight. But what do you think about this one, bro?
Yeah, I think McKinney, we kind of know what to expect from the guy. He comes out. He's normally a pretty house on fire type of guy. He's looking to bring the violence early. He is a killer be killed fighter by the definition, right? So far, what we've seen from him is all killer be killed. He's never been to a decision. And we've seen a few instances of guys like Sean Woodson, not a prolific finisher at this level, got him out of there with, pretty shocking ease. As soon as he got separation, right? He was getting taken down, separation, knockout. So Terrence McKinney for me is just a guy that I always feel a little bit skeptical when he's these huge chalk prices. But the problem is, it's a difficult thing to book somebody like Terrence McKinney. I'm talking about as an odds maker, because what do you do about the fact that in the first early going, which is when people would theoretically look to start getting the live bets in on the other side, this guy's a killer. Like, he is most likely to win the fight in the early going when he's fresh. And especially now, he's coming off of a win. So I think the confidence that he maybe was starting to lack could be back, right? When you're a fighter, you're a little delusional by nature. You talk yourself back into anything, right? So now he's on top of the world again. And I do think that a guy like Marot, he's tough, right? He's durable. He's from a regional scene where he hasn't been tested as much, but he's done a good job of, when he was under some duress, some adversity, covering up, taking the shots, rolling with it, and trying to come back. But can you do that against Terrence McKinney? Probably not, because this is a huge athleticism gap. So I think that if Terrence is landing the big shots early, it's going to be a problem for him. Who is this guy, right? Like, he just bypassed the Contender Series. He is training with the New England Cartel, but as far as I can tell, it's only been for the last year or two. I don't think he's like a New England Cartel lifer. So I think he's kind of a recent addition to the team. He's a guy that's putting together some skills on a local regional scene. But the Terrence McKinney flaws and problems, we've seen them exposed against more proven guys at the UFC level, guys with 20 fights, guys that have had a long career, guys like Drew Dober setting the knockout record and stuff. He almost sent Drew Dober to the land of wind and ghosts in the, opening 30 seconds. So I think that Terrence McKinney, super violent, super aggressive. He's probably going to win the fight in round one, which means there's not much value to be had on this fight. But I think the one thing that people maybe don't realize about him is that he's got a body that's well suited to submit people. Like, he just has long arms. He's got the ability to take the back quickly in exchanges. He knows how to wrestle, which will get you in good positions. So I just think that if this guy is smart, he's not going to exchange with a guy like Morote who wants that. He wants to have that kind of brawling fight. I think that it would be better for McKinney to just punch this guy really hard a few times, get his respect, take him down, and submit him in the first round. So that's kind of what I'm looking to see from McKinney here. That would show me that he's growing as a fighter.
Yeah, 100% agree. Amazing breakdown. Like you said, we kind of know what to expect. I think Terrence McKinney absolutely runs through this guy. The problem for me is the books are making it almost impossible. You mentioned the sub. Round one sub is plus 220 on FanDuel, which is normally kind of where you get the best prices on props. I just can't take that. I think that's going to happen. Like you said, I think he subs him around one, but I can't take anything under like at least plus 300 in that case. Just me personally. His what is it? His KO round one is plus 170. To win in round one is a minus 190, which is crazy. The unders are juiced like a motherfucker. So the books are just making it impossible for me to get involved. I don't think you can parlay McKinney. I know a lot of people are going to jump to that. Even at minus 600 is not really going to help you out, a ton. Looking to get some even money on a parlay. Just a guy with only one round of proven cardio. I can't parlay me personally. So I'll leave it at that. I think that was, like I said, I think that was an amazing breakdown. And we can move on. McKinney probably going to win, but all about lines, all about where you can find a value, obviously. So nothing for me personally. So next fight, I'm interested to hear what you have, Liam. I've been really back and forth. I decided to, kind of stay off. But hopefully I can be talked into something. We'll see. But Tainara Lisboa is fighting Ravenna Oliveira. Best price you can get on Oliveira is plus 260. The best price you can get on Lisboa is minus 298 on DraftKings. So like I said, I don't have many thoughts on this fight. I take this fight a couple of times, probably wasted a bunch of my time. Not much tape out there on Oliveira from the tape that I've seen. She's going to push forward. She looks kind of, a bit physically imposing, but I see 1-2s on her feet, and that's about it. The striking defense is not there; doesn't move ahead that much. Good on the ground. I think she's Liam. Correct me if I'm wrong, because you know more about this than me. But I think she's a purple belt. Am I right? Purple belt. Yeah.
That's
So
correct.
so definitely has some skills on the ground. Lisboa on the Lisboa side, obviously she wants to strike. I've seen major deficiencies when she's on the bottom. Her defensive grappling. So that can be obviously a path for Ravenna. But I don't know. Again, not super excited to, lay this price on a WMMA fight, whether that's on a parlay or whatever the case is. No props really stuck out to me. So I'll shut the fuck up and kick it to you, Liam. How do you feel about this one?
My man, I think this is a fascinating fight. I picked Tainara Lisboa in her UFC debut. She opened an underdog in that spot, and she ended up getting the win, right? She got the finish. I had her inside the distance at plus 275 against Jessica Rose Clark. I had been fading Jessica Rose Clark as like a system play, just over and over on the way out. And I think that Tainara Lisboa took full advantage, right? She had an opponent who was a little bit older, a little bit washy. And I think that the UFC was kind of just cleaning out the roster a little bit. Hey, we got this girl. She's got real fights on her resume. Fights that she lost, let's be clear about that. But you go back and watch. She's fought the Joanna Jędrzejczyks and the Shevchenkos and these kind of girls in Muay Thai. So she has a Muay Thai background. She's very solid in that regard. But when you look at how she, has gotten to the UFC at this point, she's a little bit older, right? She's on the wrong side of 30, let's say. So does the UFC want to have like a long-term investment and commitment to Tainara Lisboa? I'm not positive about that. When I look at where they're setting her up in this fight, they're giving her a girl that is an unknown, right? Which could be a good thing or a bad thing. And I think that Ravenna Oliveira, if you look at her footage from 4 or 5 years ago, she was horrible, right? She was 21 years of age, and she did not look like she knew her ass from her elbow in terms of MMA. But now I look at her as a girl that's made significant leaps from there to the footage I've seen recently, right? So in like 4 or 5 years, she's gotten significantly better. One angle long-term that I look at is just the fact that sometimes if you were to predict like an underdog that would overperform in the long-term sense of the word, it would be Brazilian women that people don't know a lot about. And then they come in, they get one big win by finish, and now they're a favorite, right? Look at Tainara Lisboa, even in this case. Nobody knew who she was. Let's be very clear about that. I was telling people, like, yo, she had these fights against this girl and this girl, like, whatever. I didn't have anybody lighting me up, like, bro, this is the girl. Like, she's a future world champion. But then she goes out there and gets a nice win and a nice stoppage over a girl who's no longer in the promotion. And she's the talk of the town this week. She's a big favorite. And I just think to myself, who could upset the apple cart? Does the UFC really care if Tainara Lisboa, who's 32 years old, loses to Ravena Oliveira, who's 26, and comes out of Galpa de Luta, especially in her most recent training camp? And if y'all aren't familiar, there's another guy named Jailton Almeida coming out of that camp. I'm not saying everybody from there is going to be good. I'm saying Jailton looks like he's full to the brim with every steroid you could possibly imagine. So if she's training at the same gym, maybe this girl shot something in her ass for this camp. Maybe she is on something that we don't know about. So you saw the line open one way, and it's been moving slowly towards Ravena Oliveira. Why? I don't know. Let's find out.
Yeah, I love it. Dylan's in the chat, and I think this comment just kind of sums it up. Just shot you a follow on Twitter, Liam. Great breakdown on the fights this week. Yeah, if you guys, I know a majority of you are going to be familiar with Liam. Obviously, been doing this for a long time. But if you're not, and it's the first time you're seeing this man's face, go to his Twitter, follow him, make that judgment for yourself. I mean, watch one episode, of Pride breakdowns, and you'll see how the man's coming. So, like I said, one of the hardest workers that I know, and you can see it by listening to him talk. That's the quickest way to make a judgment, obviously. So yeah, 100%. And Dylan, we appreciate you being here. Yeah, amazing breakdown. Like I said, I'm interested to see how this fight plays out because I have no idea how it's going to play out. I have no read on the fight, so that type of shit always interests me. So I'll definitely be watching. I think both girls are live. So in that case, plus 250, plus 260, why not? So yeah, I love it, my brother. Let's move on. This fight is amazing. I love this fight. Darren the Damage Elkins versus TJ Brown. Let me get the best prices for you guys. So best price on Darren Elkins is plus 160. Best price on TJ is minus 175. So I do have some action in this fight. I like TJ Brown. I wanted to obviously miss the best of the line. I wanted to find a way to reduce the juice even slightly. So what I decided to do is on DraftKings, you can do kind of a same game parlay. So I did TJ Brown money line and over 3.5 total minutes. I don't mind over half a round. If you don't have access to those, I know New York doesn't have access to some of those props. If you don't, just take TJ Brown money line. I mean, it's not my favorite. Not my favorite spot. Laying minus 180, minus 185 on a guy like TJ Brown, but I think this is more of how I feel about Darren Elkins. Absolute savage, first of all. I don't want to disrespect Darren Elkins. I think this is going to be his 28th UFC fight. Absolute legend, absolute savage. Puts on exciting fights. So shout out to this man, tough as nails, absolute savage. So let's get that out the way. But looking at his Pride fights. Sorry, let me find my notes. Yeah, so obviously, Elkins getting up there with age, and with that comes a lot. We've seen him be in absolute wars in his career, pushing 40, right? Pushing that mystical magic number of 40, 39 years old right now. Fighting a guy who's 33, right? So probably still in his prime, right? Back into his prime. But you look at the Pierce fight. Now, Pierce, Pierce is no bum. I think Pierce has potential to elevate within that division. But Pierce just absolutely lit him up. And I think we saw the kind of Darren Elkins we're going to see moving forward for as long as he continues to do this. Just very slow, right? Obviously, still dangerous on the feet. That looping overhand right is dangerous. It will put your motherfucking lights out. But that's really all I saw. I saw, Pierce kind of just having his way with him, on the feet, just kind of shoving him down, right? The takedowns came easy. I think one of those kind of Elkins shot for the hips, and Pierce just kind of flicked him off, and it was kind of sad to watch. But obviously, Elkins coming off a layoff, I think he had like 2 or 3 surgeries on his knees, and that was less than a year ago. So I'm no fucking doctor, but probably not the greatest amount of time you can have between a surgery and a scheduled fight. So TJ Brown presents problems. I think TJ Brown is not a guy that I'm looking to back, run into the window to back. He makes a lot of mistakes on the feet. He makes a lot of mistakes on the ground, and we saw that kind of culminate in the Bill Algeo fight. He was lighting up Bill Algeo. He was destroying Bill Algeo on the feet, but Bill Algeo was still game. He was still in there, and I think TJ kind of got a little cocky and kind of lower his defenses in terms of the strike and defense, and got caught and got dropped and got a club and sub. So TJ is going to be faster, more athletic, more powerful in this matchup. I think Darren Elkins is pretty much done, and it's again, I don't want to be disrespectful, but the man is almost 40, coming off multiple surgeries, back into his career. I don't think he's going to really have much for TJ Brown. So, Elkins can get the wrestling involved. Obviously, he's a great wrestler, great offensive wrestler, great grappler. But I think the athleticism difference is going to somewhat negate that, not fully negated. I think Elkins, if Elkins comes in there with that kind of game plan and relentlessly tries to grapple, which we really haven't seen in a while, I think he can have some success. But TJ is, a good enough striker, athletic enough, fast enough to dominate in this matchup. So I think that's more. I think that's more based on Elkins slowing down and his age rather than how good TJ Brown is. And again, not my favorite backing him at this price tag, but that lay TJ Brown money line at over 3.5 minutes was minus 150, and that was kind of my ceiling as to where I want to back TJ Brown at that price. So Elkins is tough as shit. Even the Cub Swanson fight, Cub would have had to kill that man probably to have him fall. I think Herb Dean was the ref in that fight, and he kind of just put Elkins out of his misery. It was more of a standing TKO, but it ain't look like Darren Elkins knew where the fuck he was. So, maybe saving him from more damage, but just kind of goes to show how tough and gritty Darren Elkins is. So I think TJ Brown does find a finish, as tough as it may seem, and as tough as Darren Elkins is, but I think he's liable to finish in any round that he wants, from the first to the third. But I like him in this fight. I'm not trying to get too cute and take finish props. So I like TJ Brown. I think Elkins is good enough to survive the first round, tough enough to survive the first round, but I think TJ Brown gets it done. So a little bit long-winded, but yeah, I like TJ Brown in the spot. I think he can dominate. I think hindsight, he can look minus 250, minus 300. So I'm happy to take the minus 150. Liam, what do you think? Pretty interesting fight.
Yeah, if you were long-winded, I'll be short-winded on this one, brother, because I don't have much to say here. I just think of Darren Elkins as a guy who is, past his prime, right? He's certainly past his prime. The book Fightnomics says when fighters are over the age of 38, the likelihood they get knocked out just skyrockets. So I think that he's likely to get knocked out in, if not this fight, any future fights that he takes. He's very liable to be knocked out. So I think that that's a huge problem. I think the injuries are a big problem. He just completed that useless 50 USADA clean jacket, after USADA's being kicked to the curb. But he just got that.
Liam, did you see that? They had
did.
like a little break in between guys weighing in, and they're like, "Yo, let's wheel Darren Elkins out there and give him this fucking jacket real quick." It was crazy.
Exactly. But here's the thing. So now I know for sure. All right, my guy Darren's even clean for this fight. Like, come on, bro. At least get on the sauce. Give yourself a chance. Like, I just feel like in this spot, TJ Brown, this is a classic TJ Brown opportunity, right? Which means that he could bag fumble. He's done it a bunch of times, but he's being set up for a very winnable fight here against Darren Elkins. He's the much younger guy. He's a little bit closer to his prime. I did think he was a little bit limpy at the face-off. Could mean nothing, right? We've seen that before. I know for sure. I once went into a deep rabbit hole about Bilal Muhammad's ankle before he fought Gilbert Burns, and it kept me off betting him, right? And now, granted, Gilbert Burns was the one who was completely injured, like 60 seconds into that fight and never looked the same. So it's just comical sometimes how we work in MMA. But that for me is just a long and short of the analysis. I think somebody's getting finished here. I think on the one hand, TJ is kind of a bonehead, but he just has all the attributes that should go his way here. So he also is sober, right? Which I think should benefit him, honestly, in terms of both his cardiovascular preparation and also, potentially his durability and his decision-making. I think it probably should pay dividends in all those regards, but let's wait and see. I always take a wait and see approach with TJ Brown.
Yeah, and that's why I love having you on the show, and I love being around smarter guys than myself, because I didn't know that. I didn't know he was sober now, and that's just kind of plays into the depth that you go and the kind of research that you do. So I appreciate that. I did not know that. But yeah, I fully agree. I fully agree with you. I think this is a spot we see TJ get back right. get back right after the Algio fight. So Algio fight. Hitting the chat up real quick. Dylan, been waiting all day for the stream. I appreciate you, my brother. Salute to you. I read that already. What the fuck am I doing? Elkins coming off surgery. Yep. Richie. Yep. Meniscus and MCL. Yep. Drew tapping in from the Discord. Appreciate you. Salute. Maz Poland Spring always sips nice in the solo cups. You already know, my brother. Don't assume what's in my cup, though. You don't know what's in my cup, right? You don't know. It might not be water. No, it's definitely fucking water. Definitely water. But yeah, let's move on. Creeping towards the main card, I believe. Yeah. So yeah, one of the fights of the night. So let's move on to the C-Rod fight. We got Christian Rodriguez going against Cameron Simon. Best price you can get on C-Rod currently is minus 135 at Superbook, and the best comeback on Simon is plus 124 on FanDuel. So Liam, why don't you kick us off? Obviously, one of the most intriguing, probably going to be one of the most entertaining fights tonight. So I'm interested to hear what you like, if anything. So what do you think about this one, my brother?
Yeah, I'm staying off this fight. It's like the community battle of the week. I'm not seeing like big plus money that would force me to get involved. I do think of both of these guys as prospects. I think that C-Rod probably a little bit more, physically developed. He's a little bit older. I think that just makes sense. But he's also missing weight for these fights. Does make me question, is that a purposeful thing? Is he cheating? Which we just got to call it what it is. If you're missing weight on purpose, it's cheating. So is he cheating? Is he not preparing properly? Does he not have the right diet? He looks visibly smaller, right? On the screen, you're looking at the two of these guys next to each other. He looks visibly smaller than Simon. Simon made the weight, right? So that for me is frustrating just as a fan and a viewer. If you care about a fair sport, people care about USADA, yet somebody can just miss weight by, a significant percentage. And 25% of the purse later, everybody stops talking about it. But I do think that that's an important note on this fight. And it's twice in a row now. The other thing is he was an underdog last time out against Raul Rosas Jr., 17-year-old. I know he was very hyped prospect, and I thought that Raul was going to do what he did in round one. Just be physical, get on top of this guy, use his skills and just submit him. And he wasn't able to do it. C-Rod showed good defensive tactics there, good defensive instincts. But I'll tell you the truth, man. I also thought that Raul Rosas Jr. had a cardio dump in that fight. And I think that he just wasn't able to offer effective resistance in rounds 2 and 3. I thought it was mildly concerning that C-Rod didn't finish there because I thought he had an opponent in front of him that was liable to be finished at that point. And again, he's a young guy. Where Simon, he's 22 years of age. He looks like he's on all the same sauce as Dricus. And he comes from a good camp. And Team CIT, it's probably the best camp in South Africa by a considerable margin. So I don't think of him as a slouch, a pushover, right? I like C-Rod, but I didn't want to bet him against Rosas because I thought the UFC was behind the Raul Rosas machine. And I don't really want to bet him against Simon because I think they're behind the Simon machine as well. This is a rebooked fight where they wanted to book this before. They weren't able to. Now they're rebooking it again. Simon to me looks like the bigger fighter and he made the weight. So I just feel like the UFC, if you look at that picture too, people can tell me if they think I'm crazy or not. Does it not look like Mick Maynard is like glaring at C-Rod, bro? Like it looked like he was like visibly pissed at him while he was up on stage because this is twice in a row, dude, by multiple pounds. And I don't think they like when you make an asshole out of the process. So that's the one concern for me here, but I do think C-Rod better process grappling. So that's why I didn't bet on this fight. I picked Simon by split decision. Don't have a very bullish take. I think C-Rod, better grappler. On the feet, I think it's a very honest fight. And I just think Simon has this ability to work a lot and know where he's at in a fight, right? When he was needing it against Kozlov, he just emptied the tank in round 3 to get the finish. And I feel like in this spot, neither one of these guys is very likely to finish in my view. So I think we're headed to a close decision more often than not, personally.
Yeah, I like it. Again, amazing breakdown. I agree with a lot of your points, so I won't be too long-winded. But I'm on the C-Rod side. I got him at minus 148. Still around that price. And yeah, like I said, I agree with a lot of what you had to say. I think C-Rod has slight advantages in enough areas, right? So obviously, two amazing prospects, 9-1 against 9-0. Now the guys face the top, top best level of competition. But I think C-Rod does still have a slight advantage there. Simon coming off, Alaska's very own Terrence Mitchell. Um, yeah, you mentioned the grappling edge, and I think that's kind of majority of the reason why I favor C Rod. The striking can be close, but I think C Rod is slightly more technical. Going to be slightly faster. Going to be slightly better on the feet. Maybe slightly more power. We'll see. But from tape, I think that's what the case will be. And then the grappling upside is where I think the biggest discrepancy lies between these two guys. So C Rod, I like what you said, the process, right? And I 100% agree with that. C Rod has a much better process on the ground. I think he can dominate minutes, dominate rounds in this matchup. So yeah, at this price, if it crept up more, minus 160, minus 170, I probably would have laid off, or maybe take a poke at some at some props, some big money props. But better than minus 150. I was interested enough to bet on C Rod. So obviously the weight miss, like you said, I haven't heard or read anything pertaining to it being, something serious like a sickness or something like that. So I'm just gonna hope that it's not, and hope that it's more of a purposeful weight miss, like you said. Again, I don't think any guy wants to purposely miss weight and give up a quarter of his purse. I may be wrong. Guys maybe want that advantage and are willing to pay for that advantage, but um, yeah, C Rod, I like him mentally. He doesn't make many mistakes in the cage. I like his IQ, and like I said, I think he's a little bit better in enough areas to win this fight and to cover this price against Simon. So Simon is definitely a bright prospect. Like you said, one of the best prospects coming out of that area, that region of the world. I think this is just a really tough matchup for him. So step up in competition for both guys. But give me C Rod at the price. Richie says, "Stop fading the Africans." Bro, I faded the fuck out of Drakus against Whitaker, bro. I was fucking shocked. To be fair, Rosas was destroying him all around one. He only won because Rosas faded. Yeah, yeah. Um, you didn't like his fight. He's my favorite dog in the entire card. Talking about Simon. Also, let's mention he's DDP's best friend. Yep. So why are you choosing? I'm on Simon there. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, interesting fight, bro. I think, like I said, I think this is going to be one of the more electric fights. I lean with you. I think it does go to distance as well. I think both guys are going to be really, really tough to get out of there. But yeah, hopefully C Rod wins convincingly enough. I don't have to sweat out incompetence of these judges. But yeah, let's move on with powering through. So 4 fights left. Next fight we have Andre Petroski fighting Michelle Pereira. Best price you can get on Petroski is, where is it? Plus 170. Best price on Michelle Pereira is minus 192 on DraftKings. So Liam, I'm gonna kick this one over to you. I am so back and forth on this fight enough where I just kind of stayed off. I think both guys are, how do I say that? I think both guys are going to experience something in this fight that they haven't in a while, right? On the Petroski side, he's going to fight somebody that actually knows how to strike. And on the Pereira side, he's going to face somebody that actually knows how to wrestle. So I think that presents really fascinating, um, you know, outcomes in this fight, right? I think either guys live to win. I think either guys live to win in multiple different methods. So yeah, just a complete stay off for me. What do you think about this one, Liam?
Yeah, really tricky fight here, but I am leaning towards the Petrosky side. One thing I've looked at long term is I do feel like, and it's not a perfect indicator, but I think when you miss weight, the UFC really gets pissed, right? And especially if it causes the fight to be canceled. And he had that debacle with Wonder Boy where he was a year layoff, I believe. Then he's supposed to fight Wonder Boy. He's got a lot of time to prepare for the date, misses the weight by 4 pounds. Then Wonder Boy doesn't accept the fight. The UFC gets a bunch of bad PR because of it, because Wonder Boy then says, hey, they don't want to pay me because I don't want to take the fight. He missed the weight. He's being unprofessional. So then they move him up to 185, right? And he had said, I'm cutting 43 pounds to make welterweight. Okay, so now what? He's cutting like 30 pounds? So he's still cutting a bunch of weight. It's not like he's not cutting weight. He's got to cut weight to make this weight class at 185. He's the exact same size as Andre Petroski. So the one thing he had over a lot of opponents, which was that he was huge, physically intimidating, could back them up with just the look of him, right? He looks like a hoss. I think Petroski knows, like, I could be there and be as physical as this guy when I grab a hold of him. And I think that Petroski kind of realizes that he's got to maximize his opportunities early, right? He's a guy that's coming in on short notice. Pereira doesn't have the best cardio in the world, right? In terms of who could push through better when they get tired, I would say both of these guys are pretty similar. Both of them look harrowing, right? They have horrible facial visuals. They're like looking like they don't want to be out there, but they find a way to make it to the decision, or they find a way to find the finish late in the case of Petrosky. So I don't think of Petrosky as a guy whose cardio is like, the worst in the world. I think that it's been a little bit overstated. It's not good, but it's a little bit overstated. The fights on The Ultimate Fighter, they're like condensed into this short time frame. You got to make the weight multiple times. It's not opportune, right? So in this sense of the word, Petrosky says, hey, I got a short turnaround. I got to go in there and maximize my game. He went out there and submitted a primary grappler in Nick Maximov in the opening frame, right? So is it to say that he can't go out there and do that against a guy who mostly strikes in the UFC? And by the way, the last time Pereira did fight at 185, he got knocked out by Dusko Todorovic. How's his UFC career going? So I think that I look at Andre Petrosky as a guy, everybody thinks he sucks, but he just hasn't lost yet, right? And he was plus 350 against Maximov and cleaned him up with a shocking quickness. So it just feels to me like he's probably a live underdog again here.
Yeah, I like what you said there in terms of the Ultimate Fighter experience too. Obviously, coming in on short notice, I think that is a major advantage, right? Packing those fights into a condensed amount of time, I think it's going to give you that experience to help with a short notice fight. And we saw that, like you said already, with Petrosky. So, yeah, amazing stuff there. Yeah, like I said, close fight, in a close fight where I think 50-50, why not take the dog shot? Plus 170, plus 175. So I love that, my brother. Three fights left. Let's move on to probably what should have been a co-main. I don't know why this card is built the way it is, but nevertheless, we have Jonathan Martinez going against Adrian Yanez. Make sure you say that shit right. Yanez. Feel me? So best price on Yanez. This has been jumping all over the place. Best price on Yanez, minus 107. Best comeback on, not comeback, but best price on Martinez is minus 115. So yeah, interesting fight. I'm on a Yanez fight. I'm on a Yanez side. I got Yanez at minus 102. I'm also on Yanez round 2 knockout plus 800, and I'm on Yanez round 3 knockout at plus 1200. So I think my breakdown to this fight is going to be similar to the C-Rod breakdown. I think again, two electric strikers. Very hard for these guys to be in a boring fight. I don't think I've seen that yet. Two amazing strikers, right? Very crisp, very clean, very technical strikers. This is going to be an amazing fight. The only reason I like Yanez as much as I do is because of the price. If Yanez would have been minus 150, minus 160, I think I would have felt a lot different about this fight. Little bit concerning. I mean, everybody has different circles. Everybody has different, people, they follow on Twitter. But as far as my circle, I've seen a lot of action on Yanez, and the price really it's moved a little bit, but it stayed close to that pick'em line pretty much the whole week. So that's slightly concerning. But like I said with C-Rod, I think Yanez is going to be slightly better in more areas. Both of these guys can crack. Don't get me wrong, but I think the power edge still lies with Yanez. I think the kicks are going to be a major problem. What do you call it? Martinez is kind of heavy at times on that front foot. I think the kicks can eat him alive. And I think Yanez, I think the power is really going to separate. So, in a time more than ever where judges are leaning towards damage, I think Yanez can present them with the proper aesthetics to win minutes and win rounds. And I think that's super important in what we feel like is going to be an exciting fight, a close fight. I think Yanez has a really, really good chance to finish his fight, which is why I like him even more. I think the finishing upside is more on the Yanez side, despite what we've seen his last time out versus Rob Font. Rob Font is a savage. I don't know if you guys, know that, but, I don't automatically jump to, Yanez has no chin or he's chinny. Both of these guys have been hurt. We've seen Martinez been hurt several times. And I think Yanez can do that again. I don't think Yanez's striking defense is the best. I think he's definitely there to get hit. But like I said, the power differential I think is going to be most important in this fight. So yeah, I think Yanez is more liable to finish this fight, like I said, which is why I lean his way. So 1 unit shot on Yanez at minus 102. Just a couple of sprinkles on a round 2, round 3 KO. I think he finds some heavy shots. If he doesn't get him out of there, I think looking back on a 15-minute kickboxing match, I think Yanez will land the more devastating punches and the more devastating strikes. and at worst pull out a decision. But I think he gets it done. I think he finds the chin, and I think he TKOs Martinez. So no disrespect to Martinez. I think he, like I said, very, very exciting prospect, still very young, and I think he's going to give us even more exciting fights in the future. So just a really tough fight, right? Really tough matchup. Really, really excited for this fight. But yeah, give me Yanez at the short price and Yanez sprinkles on the KO. Liam, what do you think?
Yeah, you can't get either side here at plus money, but you can get the over 2.5 rounds at plus money. And that does kind of get my attention in a bantamweight fight where I do think both guys have an incentive to play this one a little bit cautious, right? Adrian Yanez went out there and he said, last time out, I abandoned my game plan. I was having fun. I was landing shots. I thought I had it all figured out. I thought I basically had the fight won. He got a little too reckless and he paid the price, right? I think that
Yep.
Jonathan Martinez, that's happened to him before, right? They have a common opponent in Davy Grant. And Adrian Yanez was very diligent about his defense, rolling everything off his shoulders, being very patient, willing to just take his shots when they presented themselves, but not forcing the issue. And Jonathan Martinez, on the other hand, landed some good shots in round one, but he wanted to continue to force the issue in round two. And Davy Grant hit him with the straight arm, English goodnight. So I think that you look at a guy like Martinez, he's been showing a little bit more, caution, I would say, on the feet. That last time against Said Nurmagomedov, picked his spots, went tit for tat, and he was a dog in that spot. So now he comes in, he's being favored. I do think Yanez is probably the side here, but I also think we could just be in for a very close, back and forth type of fight between two guys with a different striking style. One guy's going to want to kick, be on the outside, be rangy, or be all the way inside, grabbing a hold of you, throwing some stuff in the clinch. Adrian Yanez wants to operate in that mid range and box. So that just seems like it's going to lead to a little bit of awkward moments where both guys can't really get off on their game. And I think that it should lead to some fun exchanges. It should be a good fight. But the one other thing I'll mention, and I'll be very brief about this, is just that these guys are friendly, right? If you listen to any of their
Yep.
interviews, they talk about the fact I got a lot of respect for this guy. I really respect his game. I think they've trained together before. I think they've worked together at the PI and the Apex and all this. So for me, would we really be that stunned if it turns into a little bit of sparring vibes? I wouldn't be that stunned, but also I think the chin is still the chin, right? If you're exchanging punches in the middle of the octagon, somebody could just get clipped. But I don't know that either one of these guys is necessarily going to have that violent intent. And yet you're getting the plus 108 on the over. I'm like a little bit interested.
Yeah, I believe they shared a brownie together, if I'm not mistaken. So, once you share a brownie together, you link for life. So, yeah, I like it. Although I'm taking the sprinkles on the KO, I 100% agree with what you said. In a close fight, that's why I said, if Yanez was minus 150, minus 160, I'd be a lot more hesitant to back him. So, yeah, I think it can for sure play out and be a close fight, and us kind of be tensed up waiting for a decision, but whole pucker. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But like I said, probably should be the co-main. Gonna be an exciting fight, very exciting fight. But yeah, two more fights. Fight start at 4, so I'm gonna try to get everybody out of here before then. Liam, as always, I appreciate your time. Like I said, if you're still watching, hit that like button, helps us out a lot. Very easy, very free, right? So just hit the button. That's it. Just hit it. So co-main event of the evening, Jennifer Maya fighting Vivian Araujo. Best price you can get right now. Where is it? Viviana Araujo as the dog plus 135 best price. Best favorite price on Jennifer Maya is minus 145 at Superbook. So Liam, I don't have a lot to say about this fight. I really wanted to back Maya. The price is what kept me off. I do not like minus 155, minus 160. More times than not, Jennifer Maya is fighting to a decision, and she's fighting super, super close. So I like what I've seen. Obviously, fighting two women that don't really want to grapple, don't really want to wrestle, in Casey O'Neill and Marina Moroz. They don't want to grapple, they want to strike. And I think that's why Maya kind of just outclassed them. So, I say Maya likes to fight close, and although those were decisions, Maya just completely outclassed both opponents on the feet, and won convincingly in my mind when I watch it back. So, we've seen girls, when they want to take her down, we've seen girls be able to do so to Maya. But on the Araujo side, I just haven't seen the consistent willingness to go to the offensive wrestling enough for me. So, in a fight, two fighters that go to decision a lot, two fighters, especially in Maya, that love to fight close. I really want to back Maya. I like her movement. I like her striking. I like her head movement. There's a lot of things, in my opinion, to like about Maya, but I just can't get to it at this price. I really wish it was Pick'em so I can play Maya. But yeah, I think the fight to go to decision is like minus 400, maybe above that at this point. So in a fight that's heavily favored to go to distance, WMMA, I really just don't want to lay the minus 160. So yeah, that's kind of how I feel. I'll keep it short and sweet. Liam, co-main event of the evening. What do you think about this one?
I'll also keep it short and sweet, man. I can't get behind Maya at this price. Number one, she's coming off of 2 wins. I think that will have people thinking, hey, she's a great fighter, but she also got those wins as an underdog. People weren't expecting her to do very well in those
Yep.
spots. When she's fought higher levels of competition, her highlight reel against Valentina Shevchenko, she had a body lock takedown. That's it. That's the whole highlight, right? If you guys watch the rest of the fight, she tries to hold on to her like chest to chest. Nothing happens from the top position, and then she gets beat up the rest of the fight. So I just think of Jennifer Maia as a very average fighter. These girls are both in the wrong age of 35 years of age. So, these women, I should say. But when I'm looking at how their talents, match up with each other, the stats say that Viviana Rujao is better at everything. So I don't know that to be true, but it's like there's nothing significant that separates them except that Vivi has the reach advantage. They're within a year of each other basically in age, and Vivi has the better stats, the better takedown numbers, the better metric. It's like dog or pass. Very simple for me.
Yeah, 100% agree. 100% agree. And yeah, in a fight that, we feel like is going to be 50-50, you go where you follow the plus money and go where the plus money is. So 100% agree. Um, yeah, I mean, main event of the evening, like I said, I want to get you guys out of here before the fight start. Um, so let's get to it. I mean, the fighters around which this card was built. Um, Sadiq Youssef fighting the legend Edson Barboza. Best price on Sadiq is minus 162. Best price on Edson Barboza is plus 150. So I'll also try to keep it short and sweet here. I like a couple different things in this fight. Let me go back to my slips. So I'm on the Youssef side. I laid the price at minus 165. I took Sadiq Youssef money line. I also took a half unit on Sadiq Youssef money line and the fight to start round 2 at minus 110. And then I sprinkled on Sadiq Youssef to win in rounds 3 or rounds 4 at plus 600. So just a stab there. Um, yeah, obviously Edson Barboza getting up there in age. The cut down to 45, although it looks like he has absolutely no problem. He's absolutely shredded on the scales. I think that's only going to get tougher and tougher. Barboza's been scheduled for some 5-round fights. I know the Gaethje fight was 5 rounds, but Gaethje kind of starched him early in that fight. I don't know when's the last time he actually went 5 rounds. I mean, we've seen him in some round 3 start to slow down. So I wouldn't go as far to say as the cardio is a question mark on the Barboza side, but if this fight does go all 5 rounds, I think Youssef is more built to kind of put it on him in those later rounds. Sadiq Youssef, amazing striker, amazingly well rounded as well. Although we don't see his ground game a lot, I think he's only shot. I was looking at it earlier. I think he's only shot for takedowns like once or twice in his UFC career. So we don't see it a lot. We've seen him sometimes in scrambles and stuff like that. But really dangerous on the ground, really dangerous striker. Likes to push forward, likes to pressure, which we've seen Edson Barboza struggle with. As Barboza gets older, as he gets more fights under his belt, we've seen him kind of take damage less well, and we've seen him not deal as well with pressure. And I think that's where Youssef can separate himself in this fight. So I think Youssef eventually is going to put it on Barboza and TKO him late. By late, I mean, rounds 3 or 4. I see some people taking shots at round 1 and 2. I don't mind that at all. I think Barboza is obviously the most dangerous in round 1. And Barboza is going to kind of get what he wants. We've seen Barboza struggle with guys that want to wrestle and offensively grapple. And like I said, I don't see Sadiq Youssef implementing that game plan. So although Barboza is going to be dangerous, I think this is going to be more of a kickboxing fight. And you don't love that, right? If I can whisper in Youssef's ear, I want him to offensively wrestle, but I still trust Sadiq Youssef on the feet. I love his striking. I love his boxing. I love his utilization of kicks, which I think all are going to help to kind of get Barboza off of him and be able to kind of pull away as this fight progresses. So Minute winning ability, round winning ability is on Yusuf's side, in my opinion. Like I said, Barboza is extremely dangerous, another legend of the game, extremely dangerous kickboxer. But you know, this is still a step up for Yusuf. I don't, don't get me fucked up, but Yusuf has that experience fighting, kickboxers, right? Alex Caceres, kickboxer, Arnold Allen, really good ground game, Arnold Allen, but he'll stand and kickbox with you if he had the choice. Andre Philly, another kickboxer, Benitez, devastating kickboxer. So I think he has that experience kind of leading up, and this is, I feel like the culmination of that experience, right? The last 4 or 5 fights, you've kind of been able to sharpen your iron with kickboxers, and now you're facing the kickboxer of all kickboxers, Edson Barboza. So I think Yusuf is gonna, like I said, be a little bit better on the feet, especially as the fight progresses. And I think eventually, I think Barboza will kind of wane under the pressure and under the what do you call it? I think like culmination of strikes, basically a more volume based approach for Yusuf. And yeah, so I like Yusuf at this price. I'll lay the juice. Not my favorite. Obviously, I want to get better odds, like don't we all? But I don't mind laying the minus 165. So give me Sadiq Yusuf. I think he wins this fight. I think he finishes this fight. So I'll take those small sprinkles. And yeah, main event of the evening should be an exciting fight. I think this is amazing matchmaking. I think this is amazing main event that we're going to be treated to. And Liam, last word. Why don't you kind of wrap us up on this card? What do you feel? What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I'll try and close this out with the quickness, my man. I think that Sadiq Yusuf is the side here, but it's no disrespect to Edson Barboza. I think he's a fine fighter. I think he's had a great career, and I think that he's always capable of landing another knockout blow. I mean, if you had to criticize Sadiq Yusuf and point to one thing that's maybe a little concerning about him long term, it's his chin, right? It's not like he has a bad chin. It's just that his chin is constantly being tested, right? Where he's going like and wobbling and like seeing wide eyes and stuff, but he recovers very quickly. And I think that youth is a big factor in that, right? He's still a young man. When he's Edson's age, he's probably not going to be able to do that recovery stuff anymore, but he's able to do that right now, and the fight's happening today. So I think that Sadiq Yusuf, more recoverability if he gets hurt. I think Edson Barboza, when he starts to get hurt, really can fall apart pretty quickly. And I think that in his last fight, he was going against somebody, and Billy Q is a little bit older, right? Sadiq's a young guy. He's been out for a while. He nursed an injury. He said now he's feeling great. He's had a lot of preparation, good camp. I feel like Sadiq Yusuf is ready to go, ready to rumble, ready to make a statement in the division. Here's the other thing. You pointed out he doesn't really grapple proactively, right? What would be one thing that you want to do to advance your career when you've been languishing around for a while, when you're finding out maybe my knockout power isn't translating as much as I thought to the UFC level? Use all the skills that you have. And I think he could batter Edson Barboza with some big shots on the feet, use that pressure, force him to engage in a clinch, in some wrestling, in some grappling, and then take advantage of him. Because Edson Barboza in the wrestling and the grappling is not very dangerous historically. He's attempting 0.1 submission attempts per 15 minutes. He has exactly goose egg 0 submission wins in the UFC. So Edson Barboza is not a very dangerous grappler. Yet you're seeing this fight to end by sub is like plus 550. That's all on the Sadiq Yusuf side for the most part, in my opinion. And it's because he submitted Sheamus last time out. Sheamus wanted to grapple. If you had asked him before the fight, how do you win? I got to try and wrestle this guy. I got to try and grapple. I got to take him to the ground. He got beat up with knees to the body. Sadiq then pulled him down, got that guillotine and pulled guard with it. And basically, instead of landing on his back flat in a position where he couldn't finish, he landed on the hip. So best case scenario for Sheamus, you're on bottom mount. And the other alternative was you get tapped, and he got tapped. So I think that Sadiq Yusuf, dangerous grappling game, Team Lloyd Irvin product. And I think that that's one thing nobody's talking about this week. I hear everybody talking about KO for either side. And listen, I understand, but I'm a contrarian in my heart. And I do think Sadiq wins this fight, but I think the skill set that he has that nobody's talking about is the wrestling and the grappling. And I think that especially that opportunistic submission game, we saw it last time. He'll snatch a hold of something and take it home. So why not?
Yeah, I love it, my brother. I'm glad we're aligned on that spot, and yeah, 100% agree. And yeah, that will wrap it. So obviously, I want to do a couple of things. First one is going to be to shout out, the sponsors. Without the sponsors, we wouldn't be here. So shout out to Sleeper Picks. Obviously, if you're in a state, especially where gambling isn't fully legal, the best DFS platform you can ask for. Use code GoldBoys, get a nice little deposit match. And then a site that we've been using throughout this whole episode, Pick a Sports. You need to shop the best lines. You absolutely need to get the best lines Why pay minus 200 for Sadiq Youssef when you could pay minus 165? Half the line shop. If you're trying to be profitable long term, one of the most important things you can do is get the best of the line. So shout out to the sponsors, and then I just want to give my appreciation once again to Liam. So Liam, I'm kind of, relative to a lot of people in the space, I'm kind of newer to the betting MMA. We just started the show up a couple weeks ago, so especially in that facet, right? It's one thing to cap MMA on your own and kind of be in your living room capping MMA. It's another thing to try to put on a show and try to articulate kind of what you see and how you feel about fights, and that's where I'm trying to get better, kind of hone on my skills and learning from people like you. Again, whether you know it or not, right? I'm always watching, like I've told you before. I've been a fan before we started linking up. So I want to continue to learn, and I think surrounding myself and being tuned into people like you and other members of the space are going to continue to help me with that. So, it's a Saturday. Like I said, you've done, a billion shows this week talking about the same thing. So I appreciate you lending us our time. I'm sure that people appreciate it too. I think the best compliment that I can pay somebody is one of the hardest workers in the game. And I truly mean that with Liam. So, the people appreciate you. I see you getting a lot of love and everything is deserved. So, you've been profitable long term. I have no doubt that you continue to do so. And that's how I kind of want to close it out. So, Liam, I'm gonna give the mic to you. Let the people know where they can find you. I know you have what do you call it? I'm blanking on the name. The premium service. What the fuck is it? I'm blanking on the name, Liam. Help me out.
The Lab VIP.
No, the other one. The other one.
My Patreon.
There we go. I knew it was a fucking P word.
My man.
Let the people know where they can find you. Twitter, your premium services, wherever they can find you, wherever they can continue to get your breakdown and your insight. I think you're muted, bro.
My bad. Amateur hour over here.
I was hoping it wasn't me. I was like, fuck.
No, man. Don't worry about it. Guys, super simple. You can find me everywhere at LiamPicksFights. I do put out content for all the fights that happen in the UFC. I try and be very detailed, thorough, give you angles on both sides of the fight as best I can, and just try and do my due diligence each and every week. There's 11, 12 fights, whatever it is on the card. And every week I come out with full predictions, everything on every fight on the card, ready to do it all again next week. So I appreciate the opportunity, my man. It's always a blessing. I love talking about these fights, and I'm going to be doing a little bit more of it. So if y'all have an appetite for it, Pub Sports Radio, I'll be live during the fights, talking through some fights with the guys over there. So stay tuned at LiamPicksFights on Twitter. I'll let you guys know when I'm joining them on the show.
Yeah, and if you want to, I know you guys are doing like the live walkthrough, right? Like the live watch. Yeah, put a link in the chat if you don't mind. Let the people know where they can find that. But yeah, if you're not following this man on Twitter, you guys fucked up. So do that now. If you're not familiar with Liam, do that now. And yeah, give my guy some support. He deserves everything coming his way. So Maz, dope show, fellas. I appreciate you, Maz. But yeah, we'll close it out like that. Next week we have an amazing card. UFC 294 is going down. We got some shakeups on the card, so we're gonna be here for that too. I'll see you guys back here next week. I appreciate you guys for watching. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Liam, once again, shout out to you, and I'll talk to you soon. And guys, I appreciate everybody that watched. Hopefully, you guys found some value in what we did today. And let's get ready for some fights. 12 minutes to fight time. Let's get prepared. And let's make some money, cash some tickets. Appreciate you. We are out.